Hey everyone and welcome back. And before we get into this week's episode is sponsored by Dubby. Are you tired of the jittery crash that comes from conventional energy drinks? In the fast-paced world of construction, we need clean energy that keeps us sharp without the downsides. That's where Dubby comes in. Dubby is a powdered energy drink that offers a clean boost without the sugar and crash. With unique flavours and essential vitamins, it's designed for those who want to stay focused and energised throughout the day. And here's the best part, you can save 10% on your first order. Just use the code COPPER1 at checkout. Visit dubby.gg to grab your tub today. Switch to Dubby, clean energy for a clearer mind. Let's build a better tomorrow.
Welcome to a new episode.
Here's a question for you. What's the difference between someone who installs a system and someone who delivers a system? Installation is getting the pipework in, the components in place, the joints made. But delivering a system, that's commissioning it correctly, testing it to the right standards, handing it over to the customer with a full explanation, maintaining it over its lifetime, diagnosing faults effectively and efficiently when something goes wrong, and recommending improvements when the time is right. That's phase 3. That's the difference between a fitter and a technician. Welcome back to the Copper Connection podcast with me, as always, your host, Chris Bailey. Today we are covering phase 3 of the 2989, the final core phase, the last hurdle before your specialist pathway. And if you get through phase 3, you've earned something real. So without further ado, let's get into this week's episode. Phase 3 assessments that you'll be covering is the phase 3 multiple choice exam, 30 minutes, 20 questions, closed book, pass mark is around 60%. Then you've got your phase 3 practical assessments, which is around about 15 hours. And then the phase 1 to 3 work log, your complete portfolio for evidence for unit 317. The work log is assessed at the end of phase 3. It covers everything you've been building throughout your apprenticeship across all 3 phases. If you've been keeping it up to date, phase 3 is where it pays off. If you've been leaving it, well, this is your final wake-up call. The phase 3 exam is shorter, 30 minutes, 20 questions, but the content is entirely new. There is no overlap with phase 1 and phase 2 units in this. All 20 questions come from units 314, 315 and 316. So let's go and work through these now. So first of all, you've got unit 314, environmental technology systems. You're going to have around about 8 questions, which is around 40% of your phase 3 exam. This unit is growing in importance every year. The UK is transitioning away from gas in new builds, where heat pumps, solar thermal and renewable technologies are becoming installed in increasing numbers. Understanding environmental technologies is becoming a core skill for every plumber, not just specialists. So in this area, we're going to be covering learning outcome 1, which is sources of renewables and non-renewable energies. You're going to have around about 2 or 3 questions on this. So non-renewable sources are coals, oils, natural gas, nuclear. Know their properties and the implications of burning fossil fuels, depletion, carbon emissions and climate impact. Then we have our renewable sources, solar, wind, hydro, biomass, geothermal and air source. Know each one and the basic principles. Know the environmental advantages and disadvantages across the board. Then we have learning outcome 2, which is operating principles of renewable energy technologies. Again, around about 2 questions on this. Heat producing micro renewable technologies such as air source heat pumps, ground source heat pumps, biomass. The principles of the vapor compression refrigeration cycle at the basic level, refrigerant, compressor, condenser, expansion valve and evaporator. Heat-led micro CHPs, so micro combined heat and power units, small-scale systems that generate electricity while producing useful heat. At phase 3, you don't need the depth of the environmental technologies specialist pathway, but you need to understand the principles. Then we move into learning outcome 3, which is requirements to install micro renewable energy systems. You're going to have around about 2 questions in this area. You're going to be looking at sustainability of building locations and features, orientation for solar, space for heat pump units, and structural considerations. Statutory regulations, building regulations, permitted development rules, MCS requirements, what can be installed without planning permission. In most cases, air source heat pumps and solar thermal fall under permitted development with certain conditions. Understand the advantages and disadvantages of each technology. Heat pumps work best with larger emitter surface, like underfloor heating or oversized radiators. Solar thermal is excellent for summer hot water, but needs backup in the winter. Know the trade-offs. Then we're moving to learning outcome 4, current energy efficiency advice and guidance. You're going to, again, have about 2 questions in this area. Benefits of energy efficiency products, so condensing boilers, low flow taps, insulation and controls. Building regulations part L, which is conservation of fuel and power. SAP ratings, ECP certificates, what they are and what they tell you. A plumber who can say your system is working correctly, but fitting a solar panel would cut your heating costs. And here's why. That plumber is adding real value. That's what this section is building towards.
Follow us where you get your podcasts from.
And then we move into Unit 315, which is domestic fuel systems. You're going to have around about 6 questions, which is about 30% of your Phase 3 exam. This unit bridges the core qualification and specialist pathways. So you've got learning outcome 1, factors affecting fuel selection. You're going to have around about 3 questions on this, which is types of fuels, natural gas, LPG, oil, solid fuels, including biomass. Each have different properties, different storage requirements, and different regulatory oversight. Factors affecting selection, obviously, are going to be availability, cost, storage space, environmental impact, and existing infrastructure. Understanding your regulatory bodies such as Gas Safe Register for gas, Offtech for oil, local authority building control for certain installations. Storage requirements are LPG cylinders and tanks, oil tanks, setting rules, funding requirements, distance from buildings and boundaries. Now we move into learning outcome 2, the combustion process. Again, I'm going to have 3 questions. Combustion process, fuel plus oxygen plus ignition equals combustion products plus heat. In perfect conditions, combustion, CO2, carbon becomes CO2 and hydrogen becomes water vapour. Complete various incomplete combustions, what causes it? Insufficient air, blocked flues, incorrectly adjusted burners. Signs of incomplete combustion, so yellow, lifting or lazy flames, black soot deposits, carbon monoxide production. Carbon monoxide, CO2, colourless, odourless, deadly. Systems of CO2 poisoning, which is headaches, dizziness, nausea, confusion, collapse, death. CO2 detectors, every property with a gas or solid fuel appliance should have one. And ventilation requirements. A fuel burning appliance needs air supply. Block up the ventilation and you restrict air, promote incomplete combustion and create CO risk. Then we have learning outcome 3, principles of chimney flue systems. Again, we'll have around 3 questions in this area. So, how a flue works. Hot gases rise, the temperature differential between flue gases and outside air creates a draft, drawing combustion products out and up. Types of flue systems, open flue, room seal, fan assisted, condensing flue. Each has different installation requirements and applications. And components, flue pipes, liners, termination positions, draft diverters, inspection points, effects of a layout on a flue performance, length of horizontal runs, number of bends, terminal position. A poorly designed flue is an unsafe flue. Termination requirements, minimum distances from openings, windows and roof ridges as specified in British Standard 5440. And basic inspection and testing, visual checks before lighting an appliance, and spillage tests and smoke matches. Then we move into Unit 316, electrical work and control systems. 3 questions in the Phase 3 exam from learning outcome 1 plus substantial practical content from the Phase 3 assignment. So we have learning outcome 1, pre-installation activity. Your limitations as a plumber working on electrical supplies. You're not a qualified electrician. There are clear boundaries. Notifiable work under building regulations Part B must be carried out or certified by a competent person. Appliances and limitations of electrical supplies of 230 volt single phase domestic supply. Electrical equipment and components for plumbing control, subroom thermostats, programmers, motorized valves, pump relays, boiler external controls. Know the types of applications and limitations. Industry standards, British Standard 7671, the 18th edition wiring regulations, and building regulations Part P, along with the manufacturer's instructions. And job documentation. Verifying drawings are current, checking instruments are calibrated and fit for purpose. Now we'll move into the Phase 3 practical assignment. You have 15 hours, which is comprehensive. From Unit 307, central heating system installation, including filling, venting, and full system setup. From Unit 308, decommissioning the central heating system. And from Unit 309, soundness testing of central heating systems. From Unit 310, commissioning and handover. This is new to Phase 3. Commissioning cold water, hot water, central heating, sanitation, and rainwater systems. Then hand over to the customer. Full explanation of the system, commissioning certificates, benchmark data, documentation. This is where you prove you can not only build a system, but hand it over professionally. From Unit 311, fault diagnosis and rectification across all 5 system types, cold water, hot water, central heating, sanitation, and rainwater. From Unit 312, service and maintenance across all 5 systems, annual servicing procedures and maintenance schedules. From Unit 313, sizing selection, cold water pipework sizing, hot water storage based on occupancy and usage, central heating, heat loss calculations, radiator selections, boiler sizing, sanitary pipework, gutters and downpipes, rainwater harvesting and grey water renew systems. And from Unit 316, the full electrical practical. Pre-install checks, safe isolation, installing and testing electrical components, identifying and repairing faults.
If you're enjoying this podcast,
Please leave us a review.
Let me say something about sizing. Unit 313, because it's the area where learners most often feel less confident, sizing is design. It's where you take a building, understand its demands, and specify the system that meets those demands reliably. Cold water, calculating peak demand, choosing pipe sizes that deliver the right flow rates to every outlet without excessive pressure drop. Hot water storage, calculating daily demand based on occupancy and usage, selecting the right cylinder capacity and heat input. Central heating, a simplified heat loss calculation for each room, selecting radiators that meets that heat loss at the design flow temperature, sizing the boiler to meet total system load. And rainwater, calculating roof areas, applying the rainfall intensity for the location, selecting correct gutter sizing and fall, and sizing it methodically. It follows a process. Once you understand the process, it's not guesswork, it's engineering. As we've mentioned throughout this, the work log, Unit 317, your Phases 1 to 3 portfolio. This is it, the document that proves your competence across 3 years of learning and on-site work. The 5 areas: application of health and safety and welfare in the workplace, preparing and installing of plumbing and domestic heating systems and components, installing plumbing and domestic heating systems and components in the workplace, performing fault diagnosis and rectification procedures, and commissioning plumbing and domestic heating systems in the workplace. If you've been keeping this updated, review it now. Strengthen any criterion. Make sure it's all evidenced, signed and specific. If you've been putting it off, get your employer involved today. Get observations signed, gather photos, write up evidence clearly. Your assessor can only mark what is there. You've done the hard work. Make sure the portfolio shows it. Okay, so Phase 3 revision strategy, Unit 314, build a clear revision map of renewable technologies, regulations and efficiency measures. None of the content repeats from Phase 1 or 2. Unit 315, combustion is one of the topics that makes everything else make sense. CO2 poisoning kills people. Understanding incomplete combustion and ventilation requirements could save a life. Take it seriously. Unit 316, know your limits, know the relevant standards, know how to isolate safely, know how control systems work. Unit 310, commissioning, know your sequences, cold water, fill, flush, test, hot water, fill, test the safe devices, check temperatures, central heating, fill, vent, check pressures, set controls, balance radiators. Know the required documentation. Unit 311, fault finding, practice the logical approach. Symptoms, system affected, possible causes, safe investigation method and repair. And the work log. Review every criteria, make sure it's evidence, signed, specific and super detailed. Okay, so before I wrap up, I want to say something directly to every learner pushing through Phase 3. You've come a long way. Phase 1 is the fundamentals. Phase 2 was the systems. Phase 3 is the full professional picture. Commissioning, maintenance, fault finding, design, environmental responsibility, and electrical competence. Not everyone makes it through all 3 phases. Some people step back, some people change direction. But if you're here revising for Phase 3, working through it, you've done something that takes genuine effort, genuine commitment, and genuine ability. Don't underestimate what you've already achieved and don't stop now. Phase 4 is waiting for you, your specialist pathway, your area of expertise, gas, environmental technologies, or non-domestic plumbing. After Phase 4 comes endpoint assessments. After EPA comes a full Level 3 qualification, and all the doors open. One phase at a time, one unit at a time, one exam at a time. You've been listening to the Copper Connection podcast. I've been Chris Bailey. This is Phase 3, is the final core phase, and you've got this. Follow the Copper Connection podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube, and share this episode with every learner you know who's working through Phase 3 or about to head on to Phase 3 from Phase 2. Head to the copperconnectionpodcast.co.uk for episode notes, revision tools, and resources built specifically for the 9289 qualification. Upcoming, we're going to have a go at the Phase 4 and beyond, the specialist pathways, the environmental technologies, gas, non-domestic plumbing, and EPA preparation, site portfolio tips, and what comes after you've qualified. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss it, and we'll see you on the next episode.
We'll be back next week. In the meantime, please subscribe and thanks for listening.